The uncontestable fact is that more and more cattle are bypassing sale yards and are being sold across the scales. This is due to processors pushing to keep cattle out of the sale yards. The simple fact is once a beast is hanging on a processor's hooks, it's their possession to downgrade to bring in penalties for whatever reason. The producer can complain. However, in most cases, any complaints will fall on deaf ears. Years gone by, if one is dissatisfied with the price one received at the sale yards, one could simply start the truck and take the cattle home. However, once the animal has had its head off, there is nothing you can do. The person doing a grading is a company employee and is therefore beholden to that company. If a processor decides he is paying too much for cattle, he can simply adjust prices by penalties for anything that doesn't meet specifications. And they can even create more creative specifications. Some of the specifications laid down are nothing more than a discount tool that has no justification. The fact is, nobody has to justify any of the discounts. A great example is butt shape, which is scientifically proven to be of no indicator of meat yield, yet it is still being used. At the Brisbane Show Carcass Competition, there were 487 entries and 36 were discounted heavily for butt shape. Even worse, the winning pen had 4 of their carcasses downgraded because of butt shape at 43 cents a kilogram, equating to more than $100 per animal. This adds up to a total discount of $3,600 for some of the best cattle in the country. At the time, Ozmeat said that any producers that are unhappy should contact their peak council. 2 years on, how much has it cost producers? What has been done? Has the Language Standards Committee even considered exploring the question of butt shape? Of little consolation, the discounts at the Brisbane Show were later withdrawn. However, the precedent has been set. How many thousands of cattle on a daily basis have been discounted because of butt shape? The worst part of all this is that any carcass that was discounted, for whatever reason, the meat off that animal can and is sold as a premium product. Surely, if a carcass is discounted for any reason, that discount should follow through to the retail shelves and should not be sold as a premium product. When one looks at the wholesale price lists, we see PR and A. However, when we go to buy the product at a retail level, we are rarely told that this is not a premium product. Byproducts harvested off cattle remain the property of the processor. Why is it the case in the US producers get a share of all byproducts? In the lamb industry, the rules seem to be a completely different set of standards than laid down by the people that make up the beef standards. The fact is, under Ozmeat, a lamb with any sign of eruption of permanent teeth, that carcass will be reclassified as mutton. The simple fact is that when a consumer buys lamb, there are very strict guidelines to ensure that they are buying genuine lamb, and those guidelines are supported by heavy penalties for non-compliance. When I buy rump steak in contrast to lamb chops, the probability is that it has been discounted at some stage for age, etc., and sold as a discount product by wholesale. But the retailer can sell as plain rump steak, which could have originated from a prime milk-tooth animal right through to a very old animal. Is it possible that a prime calf and its culled-for-age mother, sent off at the same time, harvested off both animals, can be sold together as prime? The point being that when I buy steak, it can be a wonderful experience or a terrible experience. To my way of thinking, consumers look at 2 things: price and consistency of product. At the moment, the stars are aligning with record high prices and poor quality product, masquerading as top quality product. The simple fact is that deregulation never works where money is involved. In this case, there is a huge amount of money to be made, and in Australia, the fox is indeed in charge of the henhouse. MSA was set up to address the problem of inconsistency. However, it has become part of the problem. For a product to attain an MSA grading, it has to obtain 45 to 80 points. No matter how well graded the product is, with a score of 45 points, one could expect a very average eating experience. However, if a beast obtains a score of 80 or close, one could expect a terrific eating experience. Additionally, the consumer is never told the scores and is just told that it is MSA. MSA was developed in the late 90s to address the slide of consumption of beef, and by 2004 was failing badly due to lack of adoption. Who could blame processors and retailers for not adopting MSA when it would stop the lucky dip of inconsistency, which was such a money spinner for so many? In 2004, it was decided to pull the foundations away from MSA, which made it such a great system. MLA graders gone. DNA testing gone. 3, 4 and 5 star gone. Age barriers pulled down. This left what was a great system in tatters, and just a shadow of what it was. A simple solution may be gold, silver and bronze, being 3 different categories for easy recognition of quality. In the US, graders are employed by the US government. Imagine the outcry in Australia if we let corporate giants employ their own police force, and even worse, for those corporate giants to actually make the rules and enforce those rules under legislation. Take a 600 kilogram live animal dressing at 52% in Australia. In the US, the same animal would expect a dressing percentage of 62%. The same animal dressing at 52% would mean we would have 312 kilograms of carcass beef in Australia. At 62%, one would expect to get 372 kilograms of carcass, a difference of 60 kilograms. At $5 a kilogram and processing 1,000 cattle a day, the difference is simply staggering. Ozmeat is jointly funded by MLA and the processors, and they set the rules. Some people say in the meat industry they write the legislation, police the legislation, and are judge and jury at the end of the day. A great example is the language of the Standards Committee that make the rules up for a number of ciphers affecting beef, butt profile, the age of animal, Y, YG, YP, PR, and anything full mouth simply A. To call meat off older animals as A is simply ridiculous, and I suspect it's there to mislead. The Standard Language Committee is made up of 4 processors, 1 lot feeder, 1 sheep producer, 1 cattle producer, 1 supermarket, and 1 government representative. One would have to ask the question, if anything was against grass-fed cattle producers' interests and it came to a vote, how could one person get the votes to stop anything? The fact is, if we don't change and stop the greedy practices and the domination of multinationals and the supermarket duopoly over rules governing how the beef industry works, we will lose more and more consumers to chicken, pork, etc.